Dick Grayson Nightwing needs a solo movie. I mean, considering the fact that James Gunn will soon reveal his 3-year plan that is stated to not involve Wonder Woman, which doesn't necessarily mean that Gal Gadot is no longer playing the role. It's just that I'm assuming this new slate throughout its first few years will focus on characters that particularly need the spotlight, which is including Superman and other characters. And I think this would, I don't know if a Nightwing movie would be in the first few years, but I think going forward, if the universe does go according to plan, it would be the perfect way to integrate Dick Grayson into the universe and to have him appear in his own solo movie, considering the fact that alongside a background movie that was originally supposed to be directed by Joss Whedon, Nightwing was supposed to get a solo film which was going to be directed by Chris McKay, who worked on the Lego Batman movie. And, he had a really big passion for the character, and there were interviews like about a year ago or so in which he talked about some of the process behind it or what he had in mind. Because the film necessarily hasn't been canceled. There's just been no update on it. Like, they just have not gone through with progressing development on the film. It was just kind of shelved. And it boggles my mind that a Batgirl movie got greenlit, shot and edited and all that, casted before they even considered going forward with the Nightwing movie. It just makes no sense to me, but I think that this could be the opportunity for that. I mean, considering the fact that the Batgirl movie got canceled. About 1.5 years ago, Chris McKay actually opened up about his sort of concept for the Nightwing movie as being a father-son story with, Bruce Wayne Batman, and also being some sort of like revenge story, it seems. And it was really going to be more of a character study on how Dick Grayson is with his dynamic with Bruce and how he wants to step out of his shadow and really become his own hero and write just like the comics. And I think Dick Grayson as a character could add a lot of value and a certain element to the new DC universe going forward, as he has had many connections not only to the Bat family but also other DC characters as well. It's particularly with the Titans or like Teen Titans cast, and you can do a lot of crossovers with there, and then you can have certain dynamics and matchups with certain villains like him in Bloodhaven, and introducing characters like Blockbuster. You could integrate more with like the Barbara Gordon and Dick Grayson relationship, have him against Deathstroke, kind of lead a certain adult themed version of the Titans, kind of like their dynamic as a team as well with other legacy characters, which I think should be another focal point in the new DC universe going forward, is the spotlight of legacy characters, considering the fact that if you want to differentiate from the previous DCEU, you would want to integrate and implement characters that just weren't given attention or even never showed up beforehand, like Green Lantern and all that, but also specifically the main Justice League cast's sidekicks at the time that would grow on to become their own heroes, particularly like Roy Harper to be Arsenal, Donna Troy, and Wally West coming from like Kid Flash, and it's just to becoming the Flash. And since he was the Flash in the Justice League cartoon, and he's just had a really big impact in the recent comics as well. Nightwing as a character has also had a big staple in the DC universe, alongside with obviously his connections to other characters. But this is like the recent Dark Crisis event, one of DC's many crises they've had in the comics. He's a big focal point in that, and with the new dawn of the DCU happening this year in 2023, not necessarily a reboot, but kind of like a relaunch, kind of like reinvigorating the sort of comics and series that'll be the focal point going forward. And a solo Nightwing movie could be the first step into integrating more of the Bat family, which should be used more to differentiate from Robert Pattinson's version. And then you can have like stories with Tim Drake, Red Hood, Batgirl, Sandra Cain, and all the, beloved members of the Bat family that makes them, such an iconic group in the DC lore. Nightwing as a character has had many adaptations throughout the years through video games, movies, and other animated projects like Young Justice. And then his only live action appearance would be in the Titan show with Brenton Thwaites as Dick Grayson. I think his portrayal of Nightwing is fine. Like, Brenton Thwaites is a good actor. Like, his acting isn't really necessarily my issue, but I just don't necessarily think that show overall really captures what makes Dick Grayson so special. They implement his leadership skills alright, but personally I'm not a fan of the costume. I think it's a bit bulky and not as sleek as it could be. Some people might disagree with me on that. I'm not sure, but this is how I feel about it. And then if you were to incorporate Nightwing into the DC live action movie universe or the new DCU, you could have him more lighthearted as a character and more akin to the comics. Not necessarily cracking jokes 24/7 like it's a MCU movie, but kind of how he represents how he's Batman's greatest success, and the fact that he was able to kind of achieve and overcome his grief with his parents' death, unlike Bruce did, while also being able to baggage and take in everything he's learned from his mentors and become a better hero than he was prior when he was Robin, because of it, with his detective skills and martial arts training from Bruce, and him being the best human acrobat in the DC universe, as he was a circus performer with the Flying Graysons, with him and his parents. And Dick Grayson as a character just had so many great feats in DC Comics lore, to him taking over the mantle of Batman when Bruce was presumed dead after the events of Final Crisis, being the best human acrobat in the DC universe, essentially becoming the most popular, or being the leader of the Teen Titans, becoming the first former sidekick to lead the Justice League, being one of the best fighters in the DC universe, going across the board with his speed, agility, acrobatic skills, and training. Dick Grayson just really became a staple for what sidekicks could become going forward, as he just like an embodiment and representation of like why people like legacy characters so much in the DC universe, and how much he differentiates from Batman as a character with his personal mission and his motives, and how he doesn't really have that same mentality that Bruce had, and how dedicated he was. He's still dedicated to the mission, but just not like I said, quote unquote moody way. He doesn't see how he doesn't have that same thought process of sacrificing everything in sake of the mission, kind of doing it in a more hopeful way, like I guess a better way.
And the hero bit, I'm still all in. But that thing inside of him, the thing that drives him to sacrifice everything for the sake of his mission, that's not me. I don't want to be the Batman anymore.
I mean, with all that in mind, I think this would just be the best opportunity to give the fans a Nightwing movie. A lot of people, including myself, have been waiting years just for anything updated for the process for him getting his own movie. You think, I guess, going to New Universe going forward, you could start out with him as Robin, but kind of in his later years, to the point where he's in that process to becoming his own hero with Nightwing, and then have him do different team-ups with the Titan characters, or I guess anything with the Bat family. It'd be really cool.